Hey everyone. Welcome to our team call tonight. Today is May 22nd, 2017, and I'm just really excited to be here with all of you. I've been working during the day this morning. My son had preschool, and then we were out in the sun enjoying it because it's actually nice in Seattle for once. It's been raining for so long, but this next week looks like it should be really nice and really enjoyable to take your workout outside, go work outside, get outside, and have fun and enjoy time. So I know that we posted in the team page kind of about what this call was going to be about and tonight's team call. And I've recently stumbled upon, I don't know if any of you guys follow Stephanie Davies. She is another coach, and she started reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I just want to say, I know some kids are usually on these calls, but I will be swearing tonight because I'm going to be reading a portion, like a chunk out of this book. And I'm not going to be censoring what he says because I think that a lot of what he has to say is so true and just really resonates with me. Like, I have to listen to this book when I don't have the kids around. Well, I listen to it when Ashton's around. Maybe she's picking up on it, but Bentley will definitely repeat everything. So I've really been enjoying it, and I had to go buy it because I've been wanting the hard copy. And then I was talking to Alexa. I was like, I just got to say what this guy is saying. So I will say that it's over 200 holds at the library or anywhere in the King County area. It's not at any half-price books. And when I went into Barnes & Noble to buy it, the lady knew exactly where it was. So I think it's a really popular book right now. A lot of people are reading it, and I've just heard really great things, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to get started. So basically, as I've been listening to this, he is really just talking about, it's not necessarily that you don't give a fuck about anything. It's just that you kind of have to choose what to give a fuck about, right? And so we've heard this so many different ways. I've heard it so many different ways. I'm sure there's, whenever I'm reading a book, there's things that I've heard before, but even for me, I might have to hear it a few more times. So if I'm saying anything, or if he says anything that resonates with you, that you've struggled with, that you can relate with, please chime in the chat box, because I know that we've all gone through similar situations. We've all struggled in different situations. We've all cared about different things. And maybe that has to do with, caring what other people say or other people's judgment. Maybe you haven't been posting on social media as much as you want to be, or talking about things because maybe you're just afraid of what people are going to say. Okay, that happens. And
Cookie is gonna ask for milk.
Please. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. That was interesting. So, anyways. I am going to read his 3 tips for the subtle of the art of not giving a fuck. And I just want to say again, if there's kids on here, I'm just going to be throwing some F-bombs out there, and there's going to be some swearing. So censor it, put headphones in, whatever you got to do. So basically, this is what he says. So I hope you don't mind me reading to you. I'm not gonna just read completely through. I have questions that I want us to talk about, or think about after each one. There's 3 of them, and so take what you want from this, and I hope you enjoy it. So when most people envision giving no fucks whatsoever, they imagine a kind of serene indifference to everything, a calm that weathers all storms. They imagine and aspire to be a person who is shaken by nothing and caves into no one. There's a name for that person who finds no emotion or meaning in anything: a psychopath. Why you would want to emulate a psychopath, I have no fucking clue. So what does not giving a fuck mean? Let's look at 3 subtleties, is what he calls them, that should help clarify the matter. Because I think this can be kind of a controversial subject, right? Subtlety number 1. Not giving a fuck does not mean being indifferent. It means being comfortable with being different. Okay? So let's be clear. There's absolutely nothing admirable or confident about indifferent. People who are indifferent are lame and scared. They're couch potatoes and internet trolls. I'm sure we've all had someone that's been not so nice to us on the internet, right? In fact, indifferent people often attempt to be indifferent because in reality they give way too many fucks. They give a fuck about what everyone thinks of their hair, so they never bother washing or combing it. They give a fuck about what everyone thinks of their ideas, so they hide behind sarcasm and self-righteous snarks. And I just have to say about the hair, I know Alexa doesn't watch it because she has really big hair, so I guess it doesn't matter all the time. Because yours would just be like ruined if you did that too much. They're afraid to let anyone get close to them, so they imagine themselves as some special, unique snowflake who has problems that no one else would ever understand. And different people are afraid of the world and the repercussions of their own choices. That's why they don't take any meaningful choices. They hide in a gray, emotionless pit of their own making, self-absorbed and self-pitying, perpetually distracting themselves from the unfortunate thing demanding their time and energy called life. Because here's a sneaky truth about life. There's no such thing as not giving a fuck. You must give a fuck about something. It's part of our biology to always care about something and therefore to always give a fuck. The question then is, what do we give a fuck about? What are we choosing to give a fuck about? And how can we not give a fuck about what ultimately does not matter? So then he goes on to talk about how his mom was recently screwed out of a large chunk of money and how he was like, we're going to take this to court. And she was like, why? And he was like, because I don't give a fuck. When we say, damn, so he goes, this illustrates the first subtlety of not giving a fuck, because basically he's saying we're going to go get a lawyer, fuck them up, and then go after this asshole, right? Because he's like, why? Because I just don't care. I don't give a fuck. So because when we say, damn, watch out, Mark Manson, just don't give a fuck, we don't mean that Mark Manson doesn't care about anything. On the contrary, we mean Mark Manson doesn't care about adversity in the face of his goals. He doesn't care about pissing someone off to do what he feels is right or important or noble. We mean that Mark Manson is the type of guy who would write about himself in a third party just because he thought it was the right thing to do. He does not give a fuck. This is what is so admirable. No, not me, dumbass. The overcoming adversity, he swears a lot in this book. The overcoming adversity stuff, the willingness to be different, an outcast, a pariah, all for the sake of one's own values. The willingness to stare failure in the face and shove your middle finger back at it. The people who don't give a fuck about adversity or failure or embarrassing themselves or shitting the bed a few times. The people who just laugh and then do what they believe in anyways, because they know it's right. This is what I love. They know it's more important than they are. And I feel like a lot of times this is what this business is. This business is so important. I mean, we are taking care of ourselves is obviously the number one priority. But our business is so important in the fact that this is more important than our own feelings and our own pride and our own ego, right? They say fuck it, not to everything in life, but rather to everything unimportant in life. And I feel like if you're not going to give up those unimportant things to care about, it's going to be a struggle because you're going to care too much about little things when you can spend your energy caring about things that actually matter, right? So right here, that's what he says. They reserve their fucks for what truly matters. Friends, family, purpose, burritos, an occasional lawsuit or two. And because of that, because they reserve their fucks for only the big things that matter, people give a fuck about them in return. Because here's another sneaky little truth about life. You can't be okay, this is another thing. So this, I feel like, really goes along with our business as well. You can't be an important and life-changing presence for some people without also being a joke and an embarrassment to others. You just can't. Because there's no such thing as a lack of adversity. It doesn't exist. The old saying goes that no matter where you go, there you are. Well, the same is true for adversity and failure. Right here. No matter where you go, there's a 500-pound load of shit waiting for you. And that's perfectly fine. The point isn't to get away from the shit. The point is to find the shit you enjoy dealing with. And I love that. It's so true. Like, you're always going to have something that happens in life. There's always going to be a pile of shit waiting right there for you. But it matters what shit you care about, right? There's better shit than not, right? So you just have to figure out the shit that you want to deal with. So what I have written down, so this is the first subtlety. So basically he's talking about finding, what is the shit that you want to deal with? What's the stuff? So what I want you to write these down and answer them to yourself. You can either answer them in the box if you want to openly share and be vulnerable. That's awesome. And I will share as well. So what is the shit that isn't important? I'll tell you, there's been times in life where I've cared too much about other things, right? About things that aren't important, maybe like what my ex was doing, or what, like, going through my hard time. You know, I was focused too much on things that weren't giving me the energy to focus on stuff that actually mattered, like maybe like child support and things like that. You know what I mean? And then, so what is important to you? What is that shit, that pile of shit that is important to you? Okay, to work on. And then what struggles have you faced and given a shit about? What are those struggles? Maybe you're going through a struggle right now. What are those things that you care about? And we'll go, number 2 kind of goes in and ties into number 1. Okay, so subtly, I can't even say it. Subtlety, number 2. Okay, number 2. So number 2 is to not give a fuck about adversity. You must first give a fuck about something more important than adversity. So, this is his example, okay? And I think it's hilarious. He is just hilarious. Imagine you're at a grocery store and you watch an elderly lady scream at the cashier, berating him for not accepting her 30-cent coupon. Why does this lady give a fuck? It's just 30 cents. I'll tell you why. The lady probably doesn't have anything better to do with her days than sit at home cutting out coupons. She's old and lonely. Her kids are dickheads and never visit. She hasn't had sex in over 30 years. She can't fart without extreme lower back pain. Her pension is on its last leg, and she's probably going to die in a diaper thinking she's in Candyland. So she snips coupons. That's all she got. It's her and her damn coupons. It's all she can give a fuck about because there's nothing else to give a fuck about. And so when that pimply-faced 17-year-old cashier refuses to accept one of them, when he defends his cash register's purity the way knights use to defend maidens' virginity, you can bet Granny is going to erupt. 80 years of fucks will rain down all at once like a fiery hailstorm of back in my day, and people used to show more respect stories. The problem with people who hand out fucks like ice cream at a goddamn summer camp is that they don't have anything more fuck-worthy to dedicate their fucks to. I'm literally talking like he's talking about, or talking like while he's reading to me, so this is actually kind of fun. He goes, if you find yourself consistently giving too many fucks about trivial shit that bothers you, your ex-boyfriend's new Facebook picture, just like what I was talking about, how quickly the batteries die on the TV remote, missing out on yet another 2-for-1 sale on hand sanitizer, chances are you don't have much going on in your life to give a legitimate fuck about. And that's your real problem, not the hand sanitizer, not the TV remote. I once heard an artist say that when a person has no problems, the mind automatically finds a way to invent some. I think what most people, especially educated, pampered, middle-class white people, considered life problems are really just side effects of not having anything more important to worry about. It then follows that finding another important and meaningful in your life is perhaps the most productive use of your time and energy, because if you don't find that meaningful something, your fucks will be given to meaningless and frivolous causes. And honestly, I feel like since finding Beachbody and finding this business, I've been able to care less about certain things, which I maybe 3 years ago, or not maybe, I would have 3 years ago cared a lot more about, right? Like someone that cutting you off in line. I don't even care about traffic anymore. I don't care if I'm sitting, because I'm like, whatever, I'm in no rush. This is not something to get mad about. Like little things that I used to care so much about, I just have so much more to worry about that are, that's like worth it. Exactly. Like, what's the point of worrying about something that you could give more fucks of worrying about that would just continue to better your life? You know what I mean? So basically he says, it then follows that finding something important and meaningful in your life is perhaps the most productive use of your time and energy. And I'm so thankful for Beachbody in this area, because it's so true. I have a place where I can spend my time and energy in a positive way. It's not in this like, oh, like what is everyone else doing? I'm so jealous of everyone else. It's like I'm taking reins on my own life, so I'm being able to take control of it. He says, because if you don't find that meaningful something, your fucks will be given to meaningless and frivolous causes. So number 2, what is that meaningful something you want to give a fuck about? And what do you give too many fucks about? If, just being honest with yourself. Yeah, exactly. Like Beachbody is, a bigger vision. It doesn't make me angry. It makes me anxious because people are so totally. And, it's just more about, I mean, for me, I don't trust other people driving personally. I only trust myself. Especially after like Alexa's accident coming to my house. After that, I was like a lot more. But I mean, just I guess getting places, you know, like honestly on time. I don't even give F's about that because I'm like, whatever, I'm here, shut up, you know, like it's nothing for me, I used to stress about it. Yeah, totally. So, okay. Number 3, whether you realize it or not, you are always choosing what to give a fuck about. So people aren't just born not giving a fuck. In fact, we're born giving way too many fucks. Ever watch a kid? I love this. This is so funny. And I know there's moms on here and you're going to just die laughing. So he says, ever watch a kid cry his eyes out because his hat is the wrong shade of blue? Exactly. Fuck that kid. I died. It was like my son yesterday, right? So when you're young, everything is new and exciting and everything seems to matter so much. Therefore, we give tons of fucks. We give a fuck about everything and everyone, about what people are saying about us, about whether that cute boy or girl called us back or not, about whether our socks match or not, or what color our birthday balloon is. As we get older, with the benefit of experience and having seen so much time slip by, we begin to notice that most of these sort of things have a little lasting impact on our lives. Those people whose opinions we cared so much before are no longer present in our lives. And he also talks about how everyone dies. And I know this sounds really sad, and that's like what he talks about, but it's like, what happened? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So maybe someone that you really really cared about opinion, who you really actually might not like, what if they just all of a sudden aren't there anymore? So then why did it matter about those fucks that you gave about what Sally thought? I know that sounds really depressing, but it's so true, you guys. You have no idea. And honestly, last year when I was going through my hard time, I followed 2 moms who lost their husbands. Okay? One to cancer, and one just out of the blue had like a heart attack at the age of like 28 or something. Okay? And they had 2 little kids. One of them, I follow her. She has I found her on social media, but her son Jack like just turned 1, and I think his dad died when he was maybe like 3 months old or something like that, 4 months old. And then the other one, who's actually a Beachbody coach as well, who just has been a coach for a year now, just got remarried, and he officially adopted her daughter. And Austin's about 3 now, but when her daughter was like 9 months is when her husband died. And she talks about it, being a widowed mom. And it's like, I just was like, what I'm caring about doesn't even matter, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I want to live my life like today's my last, because I saw them posting about how they want to live their life like it's their last as well, because you never know what can happen. So he says, those people who we begin to notice that most of these sorts of things have little lasting impact on our lives. Those people whose opinions we cared about so much before are no longer present in our lives. Rejections that were painful in the moment have actually worked out for the best. We realize how little attention people pay to the superficial details about us, and we choose not to obsess so much over them. Essentially, we become more selective about the fucks we're willing to give. This is something called maturity. It's nice. You should try it sometime. Maturity is what happens when one learns to only give a fuck about what's truly fuckworthy. As Bunk Moreland said to his partner, Detective in The Wire, which, fuck you, I don't even know what that is. That's what you get for giving a fuck when it wasn't your turn to give a fuck. Then as we grow older and enter middle age, something else begins to change. Our energy level drops, our identity solidifies, we know who we are, and we accept ourselves, including some of the parts we aren't thrilled about. And in a strange way, this is liberating. We no longer need to give a fuck about everything. Life is just what it is. We accept it, warts and all. We realize that we're never going to cure cancer, or go to the moon, or feel Jennifer Aniston's tits. And that's okay. Life goes on. We now reserve our ever-dwindling fucks for the most truly fuck-worthy parts of our lives, our families, our best friends, our golf swings, and to our astonishment, this is enough. This simplification actually makes us really fucking happy on a consistent basis. And we start to think, maybe that crazy alcoholic Bukowski was onto something. Don't try it. And that's just from another story that he talks about in the beginning of the book. So if you want to get this book and read that, it's great. But he talks basically about this drunk drunken homeless guy who ends up writing a book at 50 and is like a bestseller. And it was just because he didn't care about anyone else and what he said. He just was himself. And even after he had a bunch of best-selling books, he, still showed up at poem readings drunk and wasted and calling people out, So a few more things that I wanted to touch on, though. And so basically my third question to ask you guys is, have you accepted life now as it is, or like how it is now? Have you really accepted your life for where you're at, what you're going through, the struggles that you have to go through, and things like that? So the second chapter is called Happiness is a Problem. And so I want to talk a little bit about what he talks about. And basically he talks about how happiness comes from solving problems. So problems are constant in life. When you solve your health problems by buying a gym membership, you create new problems, like having to get up early to get to the gym on time, right? Well, okay, obviously, like, we have a different situation, so we don't have to like get up and go to the gym. Well, maybe some of you do, but I don't. But basically he says problems never stop. They merely get exchanged and or upgraded. Happiness comes from solving problems. The key word here is solving. If you're avoiding your problems or feel like you don't have any problems, then you're going to make yourself miserable. If you feel like you have problems that you can't solve, you will likewise make yourself miserable. The secret sauce is in the solving of the problems, not in the having problems in the first place. And so he talks about, to be happy, we need something to solve. So happiness is therefore a form of action. It's an activity, not something that is passively bestowed upon you, not something you magically discovered in a top 10 article on the Huffington Post or from any specific guru or teacher. It doesn't magically appear when you finally make enough money to add on that extra room in your house. You don't find it waiting for you in a place or an idea. He talks about how happiness is a constant work in progress because solving problems is a constant work in progress. The solutions to today's problems will lay the foundation for tomorrow's problems, and so on. And so basically he talks about how there's two ways. He goes, whatever your problems are, the concept is the same. Solve problems, be happy. Unfortunately, for many people, life doesn't feel that simple. That's because they fuck things up in at least one of the two ways. So these are two things that he's talking about with like happiness. Denial. So some people deny that their problems exist in the first place. And because they deny reality, they must constantly delude or distract themselves from reality. This makes them feel good in the short term, but it leads to a life of insecurity, neuroticism, and emotional repression. And then number two is the victim mentality. Some choose to believe that there's nothing they can do to solve their problems, even when they in fact could. Victims seek blame for others, blame others for their problems or blame outside circumstances. This may make them feel better in the short term, but it leads to a life of anger, helplessness, and despair. So obviously not blaming for your problems and things like that. But honestly, this book is just really good, and I hope that everyone goes out and reads it. And then he talks about emotions, and they help actually, this is called Emotions Are Overrated. And he says emotions evolve for one specific purpose, to help us live and reproduce a little bit better. It's just feedback. It's like a feedback mechanism telling us that something is either likely right or likely wrong for us. Nothing more, nothing less, right? So it's just kind of helping us figure out how we feel. And then one more thing that I wanted to touch base on, and I hope that this is helpful, and I hope that you guys are taking it all in, and kind of just, I feel like I've been reading this book and listening to this book and really reevaluating myself and reevaluating the fucks that I care about and the things that I care about. And so he, says, so I want to ask you this, okay? Like, type in the chat box, what do you want out of life? And he says, you say something like, I want to be happy and have a great family and a job I like, and he goes, your response is so common and expected that it doesn't really mean anything, okay? Everybody enjoys what feels good. Everyone wants to live a carefree, happy, and easy life, to fall in love and have amazing sex and relationships, to look perfect and make money and be popular and well respected and admired and a total baller to the point that people part like the Red Sea when everybody walks in the room. Everybody wants that. It's easy to want that. A more interesting question, a question that most people never consider is, what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Okay? So next time you're thinking about this life that you want to live, I want you to ask yourself, what pain do you want in your life? And what are you willing to struggle for? Because that seems to be a greater determination of how your lives turn out. So he talks about this like backwards period of, I didn't even start out with it, about giving a fuck. And he says the desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. And he calls this the backward law. He says the idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, as pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. The more you desperately want to be rich, the more poor and unworthy you feel, regardless of how much money you actually make. The more you desperately want to be sexy and desired, the uglier you come to see yourself, regardless of your actual physical appearance. The more you desperately want to be happy and loved, the lonelier and more afraid you become, regardless of those who surround you. The more you want to be spiritually enlightened, the more self-centered and shallow you become in trying to get there. It's like this one time I tripped on acid, and he literally explains his trip on acid in this book, which I love, right? And he's like, I just use, my LSD hallucinations. But he says, and it felt like the more I walked towards a house, the farther away the house got from me. And yes, I just used my LSD hallucinations to make a philosophy point about happiness. No fucks given. As the existentialist philosopher Albert Camus said, he goes, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't on LSD at the time. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. And so, there's definitely things that I was like, at first hearing that, I was like, what are you talking about? But he goes into explain it more. He's like, this is the thing is, okay, I have 10 minutes left. I'm almost done. What's interesting about the backwards law is that it's called backwards for a reason. So not giving a fuck works in reverse. If pursuing the positive is a negative, then pursuing the negative generates the positive. So being vulnerable, right? It's kind of like a negative in a way because it's like scary and it's hard, but it's almost a positive because more people can relate with that, right? So the pain you pursue in the gym results in better all-around health and energy. The failures in your business are what lead you to a better understanding of what's necessary to be successful. Being open with your insecurities paradoxically makes you more confident and charismatic around others. The pain of honest confrontation is what generates the greatest trust and respect in your relationships. Suffering through your fears and anxieties is what allows you to build courage and perseverance. Seriously, I could keep going, but you get the point. Everything worthwhile in life is won through surmounting the associated negative experience. Okay? So the avoidance of suffering is a form of suffering. The avoidance of struggle is a struggle. The denial of failure is a failure. Hiding what is shameful is itself a form of shame. Pain is an inextricable thread in the fabric of life, and to tear it out is not only impossible, but it's destructive. Attempting to tear it out unravels everything else with it. To try to avoid pain is to give too many fucks about pain. Okay, so in contrast, if you're able to not give a fuck about the pain, you become unstoppable. So that's the thing. So stop caring about that pain that's going to take you through, because everyone's struggling, everyone's going to go through pain, but that's what's going to make you unstoppable. My whole last year of going through so much pain and struggle and heartache and not knowing and actually caring too much about what people thought made me understand what I actually cared about, made me understand that it's not that important, right? And I'm just using myself as an example, okay, because that's all I can relate with. But then, he talks about happiness really it requires a struggle. It grows from problems. Joy just doesn't just sprout out of the ground like daisies and rainbows. Real, serious, lifelong fulfillment and meaning have to be earned through the choosing and managing of our struggles. Whether you suffer from anxiety or loneliness or obsessive compulsive disorder or a deckhead boss who ruins half of your waking hours every day, the solution lies in the acceptance and active engagement of that negative experience, not the avoidance of it, not the salvation from it. And then one more thing going off with the business. He goes, people want to start their own business, but you don't end up a successful entrepreneur unless you find a way to appreciate the risk, the uncertainty, and repeated failures than insane hours devoted to something that may earn absolutely nothing. So I wanted to leave you with that because I feel like that is something that I've had to learn over the last 4 years of being a part of this business and this company. It's not easy. You're gonna struggle. I can't tell you, and I'm sure Alexa too, how many times we've struggled. Brittany too, Lauren too, all of us. We're no different, okay? But it's the amount of what we've wanted to struggle, right? That pain we've addressed, that pain we've worked through, that emotion we've felt, and we've dealt with it, and we've sat with it for a minute and said, okay, this is how I feel, and this is what I'm gonna do to do something else about it. I hope that this helped. I hope that maybe you will go out and purchase this book, but I wanted to do a giveaway and give away one of these, a copy of this book because this has been a huge game changer for me, and not in the fact that I haven't heard everything before, because I haven't heard everything, and some of the stories it talks about are great that I have never heard, but it's just saying it in a way where I'm just like, who gives a fuck about what anyone else thinks? Plus, you guys, we're about to be in the UK. Like, what we have to offer is amazing. I just don't understand why more people aren't doing this, okay? Like, I just, it confuses me. So I'm going to go to the generator really quick. If you have any questions in here or if, like, comments, I'm reading through this. I wanted to, yeah. I love living alone too. But it can be a struggle. Yeah, Gladys, you've been doing everything that you've been wanting to do and not caring about what anyone else thought. Like, you put that out there and you didn't care. You were doing what was going to make you happy, and look what's happened. You're a lot stronger. You're in a better place now because you dealt with that pain and dealt with that struggle. And yeah, like, it's just so great. I just am really loving this book. So let me do, hold on, random number generator. Okay, so pick a number between 1 and 100. Type it in. Thank you all for being on live and for watching the recording if you're watching the recording. I hope that this call was helpful for all of you. Is everyone in? Everyone? And Alexa, did you want to say anything? You totally can.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read the book, but Emma was texting me about it this morning, and I think that I agree with everything that you shared, and I really want to get this book now. But yeah, man, life is just so much easier when you stop caring about the dumb shit that doesn't matter. And, you know, it's like I spent so much time also, you know, at the beginning, like the very, very beginning of my coaching career was like caring too much about what other people thought of me and, you know, holding back from reaching out to certain people or doing certain posts because I was like, well, what if my aunt sees it? What if my grandma sees it? What if my coworkers and my boss from my job from 3 years ago sees it? You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Recently, you know, I've been doing some like side like nannying for this couple that I met, and I was really afraid to post about, if you guys saw like my weed post, my post coming out talking about how I smoke weed, and I was really afraid to share that because I was like, well, what is she going to think about me and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's fine. You know what I mean? And I realized I'm like, well, she doesn't want to work with me because of that. Then, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, so long. And, you know, it's just, we're always going to have something that's going to come up. You know what I mean? Something new that's going to, you know, keep you or want, you know, be uncomfortable that you have to push through. But, you know, I think that this book sounds like it really lays out how and why you need to kind of like push past that and just not.
Yeah, no, totally. It's, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna, like, I didn't really know what to expect because the title is kind of offsetting. Like, you just kind of don't get it because you're like, but you have to care about something, you know? Like, Brene Brown told me last year in one of her books that you have to, you know? Like, so I'm over here like, what is this book about? But I gave it a try, and I love it. So the number was 40. So Gladys, I'm pretty sure you were the closest one because you said 37. So I will get that to you. You live like down the street from me, so that's perfect. And I'm seeing you tomorrow. So there you go. If we're still on for that park play date, text me. But I have less than a minute. So thank you guys so much for being on. I really, before everyone hops off, I want to take a picture really quick. So if you will just unmute or like undo your video. Oh my God, Noah, you're so cute. I just put it in gallery view, so I'm just now seeing. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, really quick before it goes on, what's it called? Ready? 1, 2, everyone. Brianne, Sam, anyone? Yes? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, Sam, there you are. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Now one for my Instagram. Hold on. I really hope it doesn't close out. I'll post this also in the team page, okay? 1, 2, 3. Yay. Okay. Thanks for being on, guys. And I'll post the recording, so this will be up soon. Thank you all for being on. I hope that was helpful. Bye.